So like I said many times before also, we are an ancient civilization. And I always feel that, we were so far ahead that we got bored that nobody else is catching up. So we said, let's take a break, let the rest of the world catch up. And once they reach there, they say, okay, now let's come back again so that there is some competition. So that's how ancient we are. We have got a lot of scriptures, and the Indian knowledge system, which is being revived now, places a lot of emphasis on the position of stars and its influence. Like I said, our human body and outside, it is one. It cannot be different. The Western sciences have got astrology and astronomy, but we have Jyotish Shastra. It's just one. Because the star position, its influence on you, its predictions for whatever can happen, all this were ingrained into our system. It is there, whether it was in the Western also, they lost it. In the Greek civilization and all, you need to plot the stars. And we were much, much ahead. If you see the theme for the National Space Day, Aryabhatta, he actually is credited for almost all the things that is later credited to the Western society because it went from here to there. So that is the kind of influence we have had, whether the different kind of yantras, to see. Always remember in our civilization, anything which was exterior, materialistic, had to have something to do with the human being because it is intrinsically connected. Because we knew from then, quantum physics, that is, particle and wave are interconnected. So unless it can be of use to human being, the external studies of no use. And we did all those kinds of studies, whether it is the Vedic rituals or anything else, it was precisely done as per the position of stars because it has to have an importance for you. And that's why whether it's the Surya Siddhanta, whether it is the precision of Earth over 26,500 years, all this were beautifully calculated, but done so as the human race can progress spiritually. So that is what we must understand from why ancient wisdom was very important for us. But it's not just flight. You must also understand that in the Ramayana, it is the entire mission control also. So when Sri Rama was faced with this seemingly impossible situation of the ocean crossing, symbolic of going to space, and then they thought how to do it. Hanumanji decided to take the one big leap of faith like an astronaut and go the other side as a Gaganyaan. We had the mission control and everybody helping him to make sure that that courage was done. He goes there, everyone supported so that he goes there and comes back with Ma Sita. The first space mission was totally successful, and we shall make sure that in our Gaganyaan is successful. Thank you.
Okay, down to Earth and up in space. So the first thing which came to my mind is something like what my wife would say, that irrespective of where you are, I'll find you, catch you, and give you work. Whether you're down to Earth, up in space. So that is the first thing which came to my mind. Okay, so now next, on a serious note, I would say the first perspective is very physical. That means for anything and everything that we do in space, it has to have some kind of usefulness on Earth. So if it doesn't translate into being useful on Earth, there is no point being up there in space, unless we cut link with space. Okay? So with Earth, that is, we decide to become truly extraplanetary and we decide to escape, go somewhere else. Till then, we have to be down to Earth, up in space, and connect both of them. Whatever we do there should reflect in useful things back on Earth. Okay, the second thing which this probably, I think, is about humility. So you have to be down to Earth to be up in space. Why so? Because especially for human space flight, there is something that our country is embarking on, which is very new to us. It may not be new, but it is very new to us. And there are so many things that we don't know about in human space flight, and we need to learn. So if we need to learn all these things, we need to learn from others. We need to learn what probably even others don't know. So our attitude has to be, I don't know. So for having that kind of attitude, we have to be egoless, we have to be humble. Only then will we be able to succeed. So that's what I think is the second way to look at it. And that's all.
Sir, the understanding of human space flight as it exists for the average person outside the domain of pure astronautics is that human spaceflight essentially is all about sitting in the craft, and it's all about the flight part, which for most people is very limited duration of their entire astronautics career. So, for example, in Gaganyaan, it will be for a few days, just like we had it for Axiom spaceflight. However, we all have to understand that human spaceflight is also for the cause of scientific research. That is the main aim of human spaceflight. It is not only about traveling and experiencing the view from space of Earth, of other places, but it is about doing serious scientific work on board a flying laboratory in low Earth orbit. That is the main purpose. And when you start thinking about that, you start realizing that, okay, what really my work is. For the four of us, I would really define it as we four are, as far as the indigenous space program is concerned, we are all pioneer astronauts. We are all test pilots. Test pilots are skilled in operational art. They are able to anticipate real-time hazards, mitigate them, take real-time decisions. Their brains actually work faster than most of the other people because they are simply trained for it, not that other people cannot, and other people have not been exposed to that. So that is where our real work is. So our work is mostly on ground. The space flight itself is just a prized thing which comes across later. But most of the work happens here on ground. You participate in a lot of technical developmental work. You build on protocols, not only for training, for a lot of hardware. You, as a pioneer astronaut, first thing that you should understand is that you're literally offering your own body for experimental research. So here you participate in a lot of psychological research towards space astronautics. You offer your blood and a lot of other body fluids for research work, psychological research work. You have to participate in analog environments. You have to build training protocols. There are a lot many things. So that is essentially what really defines human space flight. And in the end, as a closing comment, I would say astronautics is consequently in itself, being an astronaut is a way of life. And in that, one of the biggest stresses that an astronaut has to really undergo is the stress of uncertainty. When the space flight will happen, you don't know. You have to wait for years and years for your turn to come. So just like probably in the language which Prasanth sir speaks, often I will say, like, it's like karmanne va dikhariste ma phaleshu kadachana. So you keep working, disconnecting yourself from the fruits that will come, but you just continue to contribute to the system.
And when I was flying in the International Space Station around the Earth, 16 times a day for about 18 days dog, you get to see the planet Earth from so many different angles and so many different views that you really feel that you get to know this entire planet. So I think this is very apt, the description that sir has given, down to Earth, up in space. I got to know this planet much better by going and traveling to space, by seeing it from the outside in. When we live here, we are in this room, we see a limited view of this thing. But when you see the Earth as a whole, that's a very different perspective. So I think the farther you go, the perspective you get is how valuable this planet is for us. And it's a very strong feeling, you cannot really miss it. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. So this tagline for space is, I think, very apt. Down to Earth, up in space. And I think space really has this transformational capability of transcending the borders and, unifying nature. And I'm very fortunate to have experienced it. A lot has changed. I have said this before, that the first time when Ricky sir had gone to space, It was a kind of one-off event, and all the kids, everybody was inspired. For 4 decades, we have been listening to his stories, reading about him in books, and being inspired. But the thought of pursuing this career as an astronaut, it wasn't a possibility. I never thought that I would become one. But today, where we sit and what we are talking, we are talking, the theme of this conference is Aryabhatta to Gaganyaan. Gaganyaan is a human space mission, taking one Indian to space or 2 Indians to space. So I think that this is the biggest indication of how far we have come from where we were. This time, my mission that has happened, Axiom 4 mission, and I see kids being excited and inspired by that mission. Even on orbit, there were kids who asked me, how do we become an astronaut? And this is a serious question. It is not that they don't have a possibility now. They have a possibility. They can be. So I think that is a huge jump from where we were to where we are today. And as Honorable Prime Minister was also mentioning today, that the dream is to keep doing this mission over and over again, have our own space station, and then eventually land on moon, for which we will need more and more explorers. And not just explorers to enable this. It is the explorers, the engineers, the scientists, the technicians, everybody. It takes an army to do this. So I think that we really are in the golden age for space exploration right now. The technology-wise, the ambition-wise, capability-wise, and this is for us to milk as much as we can. So I think that is the biggest change that I would say in these 41 years that we have achieved.
మరిన్ని ట్రెండింగ్ వీడియోల కోసం న్యూస్ 18 తెలుగు యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ను సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి.